So we're going to continue on this drawing. I'm going to start off with the glass, then move on to this rough texture, and then we'll move into the fruits. And what we're going to be using for this is going to be the soft charcoal pencil. We'll use a medium. So when you see the black one, I'm using medium, and then a hard. Um, and then we'll use the large blending stump and a small one for details. So this this glass object, like I mentioned before, we want to start off by getting a sense of the areas in behind the object. So we want to start off with that shadow. We want to make sure that that shadow is sitting back there nice and flat, and that we have that shape. And the entire time I'm just ignoring anything that is on the surface, like those highlights. I'm pretending that those highlights are not there. Any texture, any variations on that surface, I'm just going to ignore all of that stuff and focus on the shapes of value. And any shapes that I see, I squint a lot when I'm doing this so that I can get that done as best as I can. So I wanted to get this area done first so that I get a sense of the value range that I need. And then this next portion is the shadow, and I want to make sure that that shadow is consistent, so I'm going to keep this soft charcoal pencil. For this area here, I might switch to a medium or a hard pencil, and making sure also that those edges of the shadows are nice and diffused. You don't want hard edges on shadows. They tend to stop looking believable when you have a hard edge. The edge of the shadow gets hard as it gets closer to the object. So if you notice here on this one, this gets a little sharper, and then right below the object it gets darkest. And I try not to use the eraser too much, just so that I can get through the drawing quickly. I can come back and edit some of that later and be more precise. Now moving on to this rock, I want to start with the darkest areas. And kind of think about that texture, start sort of working that texture in somehow and feeling like this feels bumpy. So it's not, you know, all uniformed darkness, it's like bumpiness. When it gets to the edge, then I might want to work that in, but I'm trying to find that edge to be not a straight line or a sharp one, so that it has a greater illusion of a rough object. And again, the light, the shadow, the cast shadow is lighter up here, the cast shadow is darker down here, so I want to get that in there first. And that way that sets the context for this object. And we can come back in also with the eraser and improve the edge of that shadow. A little sharper here. You're getting closer to the object. Same thing with this one, I forgot to sharpen this up a little bit. So a little softer, as more diffused as it gets away from the object, denser as it gets closer to the object. And I'm going to compare some of these values. I'm looking at this and looking at this, and it's roughly the same value. It's not going to go completely black like some of these spots. And go back to this and leave some of these areas a little lighter so that it gives me that sense of this rough sort of texture. I don't have to be too precise with this. It's just getting it to kind of feel like it. Doesn't have to be exactly like it, but just kind of feel like this texture. So every time that I touch this now, I'm going to try to make these same sort of marks so that I keep that same sort of feel to it. It's bumpy. So even if I'm going to erase some stuff, I'm going to approach it the same way. And it's probably, I think, one of the easier objects to do because it's the most forgiving. You know, it's the actual shape of it is something that if I got it wrong here, nobody's really gonna know the difference. So long as it feels like a bumpy stone, we'll all get it.